Okay, let's do some rehearsal since many of you have probably forgotten a few things since last time. So we're turning in our book. Everyone has their book. I'm not going to take the time that I would at the very beginning because you should already pretty well have this down. But just for our purposes, we should go through it quickly. On the overhead presentation here, we have the Greek alphabet. So let's say it together. Ready? Alpha, beta, gamma, delta, epsilon, zeta, eta, theta, iota, kappa, lambda, mu, nu, psi, omicron, pi, rho, sigma, tau, upsilon, phi, chi, psi, omega. Okay, that is the alphabet. Now, I heard a little difference. I know there are some teachers that teach this C, and so forth, but I use the more standard pronunciation. That is really more like they do in modern Greece. They would say C and P and C and so forth. I don't tend to use a modern Greek pronunciation. I use the more standard Rasmussen. What you tend to do is pick up what your professor does, but the thing is, as far that's saying the name. In reality, when you use these letters and these consonants and vowels in a word, we're pretty close because we're just getting there the sound. Like pi, whether you say it P or pi, is still a P sound. And so we'll come together on that. All right? So the alphabet. Now, let's look at the diphthongs. The diphthongs here are, some are long, as we think of it, some are short. Like alpha iota is pronounced I. That's an I. And that is a short sound. And epsilon iota is A, and that's a long sound. Now the reason why you want to know this, because you'll find out later in some of the syllabification questions when you move to accenting, it'll depend on whether it's long or short. So it's I, alpha iota is I, epsilon iota is A. Now, there are some grammars that pronounce that one I, epsilon iota, but hardly anybody does that anymore. It's epsilon iota is A. Omicron iota is oi. Upsilon iota is hui. Hui. I said actually too much H there. It's we. And then with the H, it's hui. And that's usually how it's found, with an H. Huyas. And so forth. But we. And then alpha upsilon is an ow sound. Omicron upsilon is a oo sound. Epsilon upsilon and eta upsilon is a u sound. Okay? So these are diphthongs. Diphthongs are equivalent to vowels. Vowel and diphthong make up a syllable. You have as many syllables as you have vowels and diphthongs. Yes.
Which other ones are
Alpha, okay, let's see. Alpha iota is short, epsilon iota is long, omicron iota is short, upsilon iota is long, alpha upsilon is long, omicron upsilon is long, epsilon. So the only two short ones there is alpha iota and omicron iota.
Now, in the textbook, it was saying they were long with the exception if you found them at the end of the word. That they are all long diphthongs for purposes of accentuation with the exception of...
Well, but alpha iota and omicron iota are short. You'll find them at the end of the word, yes. I don't disagree with that. That's fine. Now, let's look at the syllabification now. A-ku-o. A-ku-o. 3 syllables. You have as many syllables as you have vowels and diphthongs, right? 3 vowel, like the 2 vowels and 1 diphthong. And again, a diphthong like a vowel, so it's just 2 vowels together. So, kuo. Or, ginosko. Grapho, 2 syllables. Didasko. Apostolos. Basileia. By the way, I don't have the accent there. The acute accent should be over the F's and the O. Basileia. Ekklesia. Thalassa. And by the way, probably I should say that thalassa, but you get into the habit of saying words, you know, just like you learn in Hebrew. People tend to develop habits of things, and it's not ultimately significant. If you say thalassa, thalassah, I know what you mean. But thalassa, actually, because if you have an acute accent on the antepenult, then your ultima has to be short. Has to be short. So it really should be thalassah. Because your alpha says ah or ah. And if it's short, it's ah. If it's ah, it's long. So technically, it's thalassah. Okay, any questions on those? Alan, would you take a look and just sort of see if that's seeing the board okay? Can anybody looking at that be able to read that? Okay?
Probably not at all.
Probably not at all. You have a little knob on there, up there, that's it focuses, it goes back this way and that way, and it brings you in and out. See if you can go in a little bit more for me and the board. How's that? Is that better? You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, you might be able to read it.
Okay. Am I too big here?
No, it's more just the size and the lack of contrast.
Okay. All right, now let's look at accentuation. We have some words here we'll look at. If you have the last syllable here, los, that's the ultima. The next syllable then is what? Sta, that's the penult. Okay. And the syllable now is the pa is antepenult. And what is the alpha?
Fourth syllable.
The fourth syllable, that's it. You're right, that's good. That's the fourth syllable. No other meaning. Because you only have three syllables that the accents operate on. By the way, as these words were done by the Greeks originally, these were tonal. Just like in Chinese, ni, ha, ma is tonal. That's high. Hello. And in Greek, when the tone was going up, it's cute. When the tone was basically balancing at the top, it was a circumflex. And when the tone was dropping, it was a grave. And the language was more sing-song in its original pronunciation. So akuo. Akuo is on what accent? What is it called? What syllable is called a penult, and the accent is an acute. What about the next one? Gnosko. What syllable? Penult, and the accent is acute. Grapho. Penult. Acute. Didasko. Okay. Apostolos. Antepenult and acute.
This one you said should be on.
It should be on the
diphthong over the iota.
yeah. Epsilon diphthong should be the penult. Okay. Ecclesia, again, that's a penult. Thalassah, antepenult. Adelphos, ultima. By the way, you emphasize the syllable upon which the accent occurs. That's the main thing to do. Aletheia, sorry, antepenult. Phone. Ultima, right. Okay, and Plios, with an acute also. There are other accents, such as this. Arche, ultima with a circumflex. All right, great. Now, we did some reading last time, and we took, and I'm not going to do this for you. I mean, we're not going to do this normally. It's a lot of work for me to go through here and try to make an interlinear every time. I only did this to help you have an understanding of how the language works. And so when you see in arche, epoiesin, see how atheos, ton urinan, see where the emphasis goes? Kaitain gain, hey, de, gay, ain, all those are obviously one syllable, that's easy. Aritas, see where you put the emphasis. Kai, akaskuastos, tos, I guess it is, look like an way. Kai, scatus, so that's how you sound it out. And then what you can do is put English underneath it. If you'll notice though, in the beginning he made the God, the heaven, and the earth. Yes.
On the kais, the accent looks like it's a grave.
Where?
Every kai, every what time kai is up
It is, but it's a connecting.
Well, it is a grave because it's a word following.
there. Okay, that's what
Yeah,
I was curious about.
yeah, that's purposeful.
I was wondering.
Now, if you'll notice though that the verb here precedes the noun, the subject. I should say the noun because arche is also a noun. So the verb here precedes the subject. That's no problem in Greek. In Greek, I could put ha theos at the end of the sentence. I could read it in arche, epoiesin, ton urenan, kai ten gain, ha theos, and I'd still know what it was. Matter of fact, in this sentence, I could do ha in arche, epoiesin, ton urenan, kai ten gain, theos. I could have the article at the beginning, the article at the end, and still know how to translate it. Greek is unlike English. It's not the word order that makes the meaning. So Greek oftentimes puts verbs at the end, verbs at the beginning, nouns at the end, nouns at the beginning, nouns in the middle. Matter of fact, it would be very common in, for example, like in a classical form, to put NRK epoiesin and then have the ha with the ton or non kaite gain in the middle and the theos at the end, and it tucks it in. Like surrounds it and says this all goes together. Greek does not need our English word order to work. And you'll find out why later. But that makes it a very precise language and easy to understand. As far as, I find Greek more difficult grammatically and syntactically than Hebrew, but it probably, but it's a more exact language. Okay. Questions on that? Let's look at some more of it then. Notice the hey, de. Let's look at that. The hey, de right here, hey, de. De is a word which is always somewhat, it's put second in the sentence. It's translated, should be translated in my opinion. Modern translations that are not really formal equivalent translations, and even some that are, sometimes leave de out. But de means and, or but, or now, or it's either an adversative expressing a contrasting thought, or it's a continuum expressing an ongoing thought. But if you leave out the conjunctions in translation, you also lose a lot of the meaning of the author as he's developing ideas. That's the reason why I don't have, one of the reasons why I don't much like modern translations. So hey, de, gay. Notice hey, gay goes together, right? Hey and gay, they go together. If you've read your chapters ahead, you know that hey is a nominative feminine singular noun, or article. Gay is a nominative feminine singular noun, and the article and the noun go together. We'll talk more about that. De is tucked in, well, it's positive, it sticks in there. So even though second you translated and the earth was unseen and unformed, and darkness, understood was, upon the abyss, a busu. That's where we get our word abyss. And the Spirit of God, he was laying, literally, epiphero in Greek. The Hebrew is chafes. I can't remember the Hebrew here, but it carries the same concept. Was laying over the water. And then notice apan is the verb before the subject, and he said that is the God. The God said, but you may wonder why about the God, but Jesus translated God. There's a reason for that, and we'll explain that later. Let there be light, and it became light. And God said, actually that should be Saul. Ada there is not, that's from Ado. I translated it wrong. And God saw the light, that it was good, and he divided. God divided up between the midst of the light and the midst of the darkness. Sort of a hard English translation, but Anna Meson is up in the midst, or that is between. God divided between the light and between the darkness, sort of a strange setup. Okay, anyway, this is, you see, Greek sort of goes together in a little different way than English, but not too far off from yours. The Greek in the New Testament the same way. Notice the Greek in the Old here, NRK. That's the Old Testament, Genesis 1:1. Look at the New Testament. NRK again. Both start out with in the beginning. And was the Word. And the Word was toward God, and the Word was God. So, again, we did through this last time, so I'm not going to do any more there now. Let me get back to the lecture 2. Just we're rehearsing now. All right. Let's do some vocabulary. Akuo, let's say it together. Akuo, I hear. Blepo, I see. Gnosko, I know. And you get the word agnostic from this by adding an A to it, an alpha, called an alpha privative. An alpha privative is added to the beginning of a word in Greek to negate the word. So a gnostic is one who knows, and an agnostic is one who doesn't, and so forth. Gnosko, it's also easy to remember that word because it says no. Gnosko. So you sort of remember it that way. Grapho. I write. Pretty easy. Graphograph, graphic, so forth, to write. Telegraphic, to write long distance. Where it comes from. Just like telephono is to speak long, or to actually hear, to hear long distance. Didasco. Didasco. I teach. Didactic. Thello. Wish, will, or desire. Kai. Zan. Lego. Say, to speak, to tell. Dialogue. See, dialego. Actually, we'll talk more about that later. Okay. Luo. To loosen or destroy, from analyze, and from analuo. Luo means to break apart, to loosen, to destroy. So analyze has something to do with breaking something into different parts. Analyzing. Hati, that because. have a oo and a ook and a oo?
So before, vowel, smooth sounding, and rough.
No, it doesn't deal with the gender.
It's the sound of the
Following
Or
word.
the following word. Now, oo without,
is a consonant, or without an accent. And then if it has the smooth mark,
Okay.
it's
look it up.
ook.
Good try. I changed the oo to oo. I'm gonna take that extra oo out when you look it up. Okay?
Oh, there it is. Page 7, I think.
Yeah, who comes before a word that begins with a noun. Or not a noun, sorry, a consonant.
Okay, oo before consonant.
And then, ook before one beginning with a vowel that is smooth breathing.
Okay, ook is with smooth breathing.
Smooth breathing, and ook
Ook,
is with one with the rough.
rough breathing. Now, let me ask you if you can tell me, why do you think that you need to add a kappa or a that's not going to do it the same way. Why do you think you need to add a kappa or a high with a with ook before consonants?
The vowel sounds would run together.
Yeah, it's harder to say, isn't it? With oo with a consonant, it's easy because you got a smooth and a stop. But when you have a vowel, it can run together, so you put the kappa for a regular, and then a smooth breath, and then you have a harder sound when you have a rough. Okay, good. Now let's look at that again. There we are. Now, there's no oo. All right. Okay, very good. Pistuo, to believe. Pistuo?
Pistuo. Two believes.
Okay. Now, verbs then have tense, they have voice, and they have mood. Let's talk about those just a moment. By tense, generally we mean time of action. That's what the word tense means, time. But tense in Greek is secondary to kind of action. Kind of action is your primary concern in Greek, not time of action. It's not that time of action is not important at all. It's just that time of action is secondary to the kind of action that you're emphasizing. So the kind of action can either be complete, continuing action, action that's completed action, but has a result, and action that is simple, just looked at in a whole. We'll talk more about those. Voice relates to whether the subject is acting, whether the subject is being acted upon, or whether the subject is in fact somehow participating in the results of the action. These are all ideas that we will take time to develop. I mean, this is very, very general statement. We will look at each one of these very carefully later on. But do you not understand anything here that I have? Is there anything you don't understand?
I have trouble, that's why the time, getting the simple form down, trying to distinguish between, and the book gives two examples. And one was, the window, he broke the window, I wish I could distinguish it, and she painted a picture. Well, painted a picture was simple, but to me that looked completed, not continuing.
You'll see this when we get in. See, the continuing actions result is found primarily in the present tense. And remember, the action's always from the vantage point of the speaker or writer. So as far as it, when the writer is writing it down, or when the speaker is making the statement, he's viewing the action as an ongoing action. It's happening. He's not talking about whether it's going to finish happening or it did happen. He's talking about it's happening. That's the primary concept of present tense. That's a continuing action. Now there's also an imperfect tense of continuous action, and that's in the past. But the speaker, again, is looking at it in the past as though it's something that was happening. You know, they were building the building. You're not talking about whether they finished it or not. You're talking about, you're looking at the action happening in the past. He is building the building. You're looking at action that is happening in the present. You're not discussing if they built it in the past or another time or when they'll finish it in the future. You're just talking about it's happening. So that's the point of the present tense. And also imperfect. Completed actions is what you know as the perfect tense. It means it's happened in the past. The actual action happened in the past. But the results of that action continue to the present. He died. Perfect tense. Still dead. It is written. When it says that in the scripture again and again, it is written, perfect tense. Because the point is they wrote it in the past. It's not being written now. The writing's over. But you're saying it is written. You could say it was written, because that's what happened. They wrote it down. It's written. The writing's over. But the results of the writing are still here. It's written. Perfect tense. And then simple actions usually represented by the aorist, and we'll talk more about that. Preachers sometimes in the past, probably because Greek professors didn't teach it well enough, used to try to make a lot of hay with the aorist tense. Saying, you know, he died once for all, like, you know, can't happen again kind of thing, which has nothing to do with the aorist tense. Aorist tense means the action happened, no big deal. You're not making an issue. You're not talking about how long it took. You're not talking about seeing it happening. You're not talking about the results. You're saying it happened. He killed him. You're not trying to discuss anything. The action simply happened. In the past. Okay. So, tense, past, the time of actions either happened in the past, present, or future. That's pretty simple. Any questions on the voice? By the way, Adam, would you listen to the little earphone thing and make sure you're hearing something?
Good. I remember that. They need to hear you.
They do need to hear me. Can you hear me? Good, that's important. Otherwise, they have to read my lips.
That's another course.
It would be impossible almost to do. Any questions on the issue of voice, what voice is? You understand voice? Okay.
We're dealing with a multitude of things, and I'm struggling just to grasp how it all fits together. Independently, I'm looking and I can,
Lots of pieces?
yeah.
Yeah, well, we'll get to the putting it together here with translation. Voice means the subject is acting, active voice, through the verb. Passive means the subject is being acted upon by something else. Middle voice means the subject is somehow acting through the verb in a way that it also participates in the results of the action. And we'll talk more about that. Okay? Mood. 4 types of mood. One is indicative. That is, now remember, this is all from the standpoint of the writer or speaker. Some people forget these things. As far as a writer or speaker is concerned, the actions looked at certain ways. One is the actions asserted as a fact. He killed him. Or he is killing him. Or hit him. He hit him. He is hitting him. It's looking at the action as a fact. He might hit him. See, it's not the same thing as he is hitting him. One looks at the action as a fact, one looks at the action as potential, right? Imperative is an action that's not happening, but it's an action that is a very strong action because you're telling somebody to start an action or something, possibly even to stop an action. But you're saying, do it or don't do it. It's a command. So that is another mood. Action is commanded or requested. It's not happening, but you're having a command to happen or requesting it to happen. Optative, and actually if I were putting those down again, that is wrong. Typing is wrong. The optative is correct, but that is the fourth kind of act. That tends to be the farthest away from reality. I probably should have put it at the end. But the optative means action that's expressed as a hope, not necessarily something that's viewed as a fact or a command to do it, but you're viewing it as a hope, as a desire for something to happen. This is used repeatedly when Paul says, translate the King James, God forbid. The Greek is me gunoita. Me gunoita means may it never be. It's a hope. May it never be. So, the subjective here really should be subjunctive, so that should be Junctive. Subjunctive, action viewed as hypothetical or probable based on conditions. For example, some people have trouble theologically. They say, well, my goodness, what is this? John says in 1 John, if he should appear. You mean John's not sure? Maybe Jesus isn't coming. John's using the subjunctive. No, it's not questioning whether something will or will not happen. The issue is the happening depends upon conditions. And in the mind of the author, it's dependent upon conditions. It's not because he's making some theological statement that he's not coming. It's just a natural way to write in Greek. Now, infinitives and participles you'll come across, they are somewhat like moods, but they're verbals. Verbal forms having the characteristics of nouns and adjectives, and you'll see plenty of those later when I get into it now. Now, the present active indicative, remember I talked to you about this last time? Can you say them? Luo, lues, lue, lumen, luise. Oh, which way are you going? We're going down. Luo, lues, lue, lumen, luete, luce. Now, notice what I did here last time. I tried to give you some way to understand this. If you'll look, you'll see that the sigma is your actual ending, technically speaking. And the iota is the actual ending, technically speaking. Men, te, and si. Those are the actual endings historically. But they also use vowels with the endings. And so we've joined them together. The F's and the O's is a vowel, epsilon, omicron, epsilon. These we call connecting vowels. They're like glue. They connect the stem of the word to the ending of the word and put it together. Okay? So we say luo, because that omega is actually the connecting vowel, not the ending. But that's what it becomes, an ending for our purposes. Luo, lues, lue, lumen, luete, luce. Now, this word luo is a very consistent word in Greek. That's why they tend to use it. Just like in Hebrew, they used to use the word katal all the time because it's very consistent. Yeah.
Just on pronunciation, you pronounced the epsilon iota as I when we went through the diphthongs. Luis?
Where?
Yeah. Didn't you pronounce that Lui?
No, alpha iota is I. F iota is A.
Always say.
Always say, I'm going to introduce it. But the alpha iota is I. For example, the aorist infinitive, luci, lambda, upsilon, sigma, alpha iota. You don't even know that now. But luci is an aorist infinitive, and it's pronounced I, luci. But if you have epsilon iota, it's A. Okay? Now, the omicron epsilon tells you this is an omicron epsilon pattern. Why? Because you tend to have an O sound or an E sound. Now, obviously the omega is not an omicron and the epsilon is not an epsilon. But in the formation of the word it comes at, because you had historically how the words came together. So that's an eh kind of formation. That's what they usually say, it's an omicron epsilon pattern. Now, we did some Greek last time. Remember all this? Went through it? Well, we're going to do that again, so we're not going to be doing all the overhead right now. We'll just look past these. And we did with Septuagint. Each time we'll do the Septuagint. One reason why you put the Septuagint in here, because you probably will not be as familiar with the Old Testament text as you are the New Testament text and the Greek. So it would be more difficult to just fake it and just be giving what you learned somewhere around along the way. The New Testament's more simple.
Especially when it's Tobit or First Maccabees or something like that.
Yeah, you probably haven't read First Maccabees recently. Yeah. So we'll move past those. Now, what I'm trying to show you here is something that I will show you later also. But if you know these forms, you'll be in good shape. O, ace, a, amanesh, usi, amai, atai, amethyst, antai, an, ese, amanet, an, amen, uata, amethyst, anta. If you know those 24 forms, you can recognize, if you understand a little bit about how verbs form, you know those 24 forms, you can recognize most verbals in the New Testament.
Now, is this in the book?
No. I'm giving you something that if you know these, you got them down to memory, and when I teach you how to recognize what's happening in a word with formation, you know these endings, you can figure out most verbs in the New Testament. So this is something that you need to work on. I think I gave this to you last time.
You showed it to us, we didn't have time to write it down though.
Mm.
Do you remember how to do that sigma the last way? The command for element?
Oh, it's a,
Control.
it may be a command,
Shift V.
Okay.
no, huh?
Yeah, shift V. Yeah.
Shift V?
Just yeah.
Oh, that's different than mine. I haven't done much help to you. Okay, now, if you get that down, you can use that. You'll see it again and again. You have to learn how to do substitutions and so forth, but the basic forms stay pretty much the same. Okay?
Now, primary and secondary, is that different than?
Well, you'll learn more about what this means. Just write them down for memorization. You don't know what primary and secondary means yet. And I don't want to get ahead of myself. Just need to start learning these forms. Oase, amanet usi, amayet amanet antai, anese amanet an, amenuet amanet antai. Just be able to say that fast and get it. You know, when I was a sponsor of a fraternity in college once, several years I was a college prof, and they required pledges to be able to say the Greek New Testament, be able to say the Greek alphabet before the match would burn their fingers. They would light a match and then hold it like this. And the pledge had to go alphabet, gamma, epsilon, all the way through to omega before the thing started burning. And helps you learn your alphabet. I'm trying to find ways to do stimulus also. Okay, you with me? You got it? Everybody?
You got it now.
Okay.
Oh, I see.
Now, this right here, giving you again an illustration of principal part. There are 6 principal parts you need to learn how these things work. We will be looking them throughout the course. But if you learn these from the beginning, see, words have certain ways they form. And if you studied Hebrew, you understand Hebrew have what they call roots. These are principal parts. For example, the first principal part is the basis of the present and imperfect tense. The second principal part is the basis of the future tense, active in the middle. The third principal part is the basis of the first aorist, active and middle. Excuse me, yeah, active and middle. And the fourth principal part is the basis of the perfect active. Fifth principal part, the perfect middle and passive. And the sixth principal part, aorist passive. As the words formed historically, they formed along these 6 divisions. So if you'll notice, lu is the stem here with omega as the ending. What would you say underneath that? Luo, lues, lue, luamen, luate, luisi. Right? And then if you wanted to say future tense, you would say lu, so, luces, luce, lucimen, lucite, lucici. The only difference? The sigma. That means that the sigma tells you that the word you're looking at is a future. If you don't have the sigma, you know the word is a present. Although there's something else you don't know yet, but we'll get to it. There's actually several somethings you don't know. Perfect active. Oh, notice this aorist. It's e, lu, sa. What do you see different here between this? Epsilon is called an augment. That tells you it's a past tense word. The lu stays the same, doesn't it? Because that's the stem of the word. Like preach and preached. What's the stem? Huh? The stem in preach and preached. Which is the stem? Preach. Preach. Ed means past tense, doesn't it? Okay, teach and teached. Any problem there? I teach, I teached. What happened? Irregular. You have that in Greek too. But you have regular, you have irregular. You have the same thing in English and Greek. What if I say I studied, what happened to the Y? It becomes an I-E-D, right? Y becomes an I because you got an E-D on the end. These things happen in English, we just don't think about them. They happen in Greek too, and they didn't think about them either. But we got to because we're learning the language. And we're not learning it from childhood. Now, notice in the epsilon means it's past tense, lu the stem. S means it's a tense suffix for the aorist, also like the future, except the future doesn't have epsilon, and an alpha ending here. Notice the perfect. Le, lu, ka. Kappa functions just like a sigma here. The le functions like an epsilon here, and that's a perfect tense, le, lu, ka. The perfect middle, le, lu, my. And the aorist, e, lu, thing. Anyway, this is how it forms. You don't have to know all this yet. We're just, all I'm showing you here is not for you to memorize this stuff yet, but just to realize that words form into principal parts. And you'll be seeing this as you go through the language.
The basic statement is saying that in Greek, conjugate the verb six.
The conjugation of the verb is divided into 6 forms. Basically 6 stem forms. Okay? All right, let's do the next. Okay, anybody can figure this out? Architric. Architriclinos? Where is it?
Middle down.
Okay. Right here? There it is. I thought I gave that to you, and I didn't, huh?
No.
That's too bad.
If you ever left down.
Gamma? Anything else?
Gamma at the bottom, right corner.
Right here? Right here, no. So you could do this, couldn't you? So I'll make a copy of this, break, and I'll bring it to you, okay? Something you can play with. I got it all worked out. Don't be looking, Stacy. Well, that gets us sort of with our review. Now we start off again with chapter 3. Let's all turn to chapter 3. Okay, now, chapter 3, we start introducing nouns and cases and all that kind of good stuff. So first of all, we have vocabulary. So let's go our vocabulary together. Adolphe. Now notice what I've done differently. No, it's a genitive. For some reason, he in this grammar does not give you the genitive case. I think it's important to know the genitive case because that helps you to know several things about a word. If you go to your dictionary, you'll find that the dictionaries always give you the nominative and the genitive. Oftentimes, particularly when you move to the third declension, you will not know what the word is unless you know the genitive. Because the nominative form is always different. So I'm not sure why he doesn't. It's a quirk of his grammar, but I'm going to. So how do you figure that out? Well, let's see. I think he does it here. No, he doesn't. Well, he does in the third declension. I just looked. So in the third declension, he does give it to you. Look in the back of the book. Let's explore this just a bit. The Greek to English vocabulary. Look at the first word. Agathos, agathe, agathon. You'll find out, as we learn later, that the adjective always gives the nominative singular of all three forms, masculine, feminine, and neuter. Now, why would you have that? Because adjectives modify nouns and agree with their nouns in case, gender, number. Or look at the verb next. Agapao, you'll notice he gives you the principal parts. See that? Agapao, agapeso, agapesa, agapeka, agapemai, agapethan. He gives you the principal parts for the verbs, doesn't he? The thing I was talking about before? All right. What he does not do is the third word, agape, hey, he does not give you the genitive. I still want you to learn the genitive. So agape, agapes, hey. You with me? Next word, angelos, down. Angelos, angelu, ha. So even though he does not give it, I want you to learn it. And I'll try to be sure that as we go through, I give them to you. Okay? All you got to do is make a mark in your book. Okay? Questions? Well, let me show you one other little thing here. Go to the next column on page 244, about halfway down. Notice hamartano. You see that? Everybody with me? Page 244, hamartano, halfway down, second column. You with me? Everybody there? Notice hamartano, hamarteso, hamartesa, or hamartan. See that? In other words, there are two forms of that. One's a first and one's secondary. You don't even know that. Just tell me two forms. Next, hamateka. But notice the dash dash. That means in the history of the language, it did not develop a fifth and sixth principal part. In all the literature, you only find the first four principal parts. Nobody ever used the fifth and sixth principal part as the word developed. That's what that means. Okay? Questions? Again, you don't know much about principal parts. I know that. I'm not asking you to. This is just tidbits that gradually will make sense. Okay? So let's go back.
Could you make a quick comment about the breathing marks?
If it's a smooth breathing mark, it just has no sound at all. If it's a rough breathing mark, it has a slight sound. Just a small aspect. And for example, the word Rama, Rho, Eta, Mu, Alpha is pronounced Prema. Prema. It's not Rama, it's Prema. And Weos, you know, the sun is actually Quios. It's not Weos, it's Quios. Little H sound at the beginning when you have a rough breathing mark. When you don't have a rough, there's no sound at all. Okay, now let's look at the words again. Adolphe, adolphes, hey. Aletheia, aletheos, hey. I didn't put the hays here, but you know what the hay is. You're looking at the dictionary. Are you looking at the book, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm just telling you that the word that follows is a ace, an os, Gay, gace, hay. Doxa, doxace, hay. Notice the difference? Notice above, look at this. You see adolphe, hay, should be a hay here. That looks the same, doesn't it? Notice the next one. Aletheia, aletheos. Again, the alpha seems to fit, doesn't it? Third one the same way. This one fits here. Gay, gace. But here you have an alpha eta signal form. So the three ways that it forms. Sometimes ace, sometimes as, sometimes ace. Three ways that words form. So you need to be able to know what they are, and you learn it as part of the vocabulary. So doxa, doxace, hey. Ecclesia, ecclesias, that's hey. Echo is to have. Zoe, zoes, hey. Hemera, hemeras. Thalassae, and here notice it goes to an eta sigma again. Thalassae. Cardia, cardias. Phone, phones. So remember, these are all feminine nouns except for that little echo there, which is a verb. These are all feminine nouns. Now, Greek has masculine, feminine, and neuter nouns. They do not mean natural gender. These are grammatical gender. Now, sometimes the grammatical gender and the natural gender are the same. Adelphos is a masculine. Generally speaking, though, adelphos also refers to a male. Not entirely, but generally. But for example, phone is a feminine. Doesn't mean that women only have voices. See, thalassae is a feminine. The C is a she. Well, they're not talking about, you know, like some people do where they necessarily, when they say a ship is a she, right? It used to be all the hurricanes were she's. But these are grammatical gender versus natural gender. There is natural, but mainly grammatical. Questions on that so far?
And similarly, that would affect the definite article.
The definite article will definitely go with these, and you'll see that in a minute. So let's do the sound here. Everybody ready? Adolphe, adolphes, hey.
Hey.
Aletheia, actually be an ass since it's an ultima at the end. Aletheia, aletheas, hey.
Aletheas, hey.
Basileia, basileas, hey.
Basileia,
Okay, and you can see what the words mean. Notice you do have some words, for example, Alethi, I guess, is that her name? You could use that maybe for maybe a girl's name. Basilica, you've heard of that. Kingdom, rule. Earth, geology. Study of the gays. Geology is the study of gay. Gay means earth. Okay, doxology is a study of, or a statement of, one of the two, of glory or honor. Doxological. Ecclesia, ecclesios, hey. Ecclesia, ecclesios, hey. Assembly or church, ecclesiastic or ecclesiastical, ecclesiastics, all those words in the Greek word, ecclesia. Echo. Echo. Get that little in there. That's a chai. Echo. I have. Zoe, zoes, hey.
Zoe, zoes, hey.
Good. Life, prota, zoa. Two Greek words, protos, which means first, zoa, which means life. Protozoa is first life. That's an evolutionary term, by the way. But we tend to sometimes use the same terms and don't believe in the same view. Hemera, hemeros, hey.
Hemera, hemeros, hey.
Day or ephemeral. Okay, thalassae, thalassase. Sea or lake, thalassic. I'll be honest with you, I didn't know that word. I don't know what thalassic means. I guess it has something to do with the lake. So that's a thalassic body. I don't know what that means. I didn't check it either. Cardia, cardios, hey.
Hey.
Heart or cardiac, you can make that out, could you? Phone, phones, hey.
Phone, phones, hey.
Voice or sound, a phone. So, hora, horas, hey.
Hora, horas, hey.
Hour, time, horoscope. So, scope out your Horus. All right, now, let's do some reading together. This is just pronouncing. That's all we're going to do. Now, I want you to read with me. I won't read too fast. But you do need to learn how to do this. Instead of 1 John 1:5. Kai, estin,
Alte,
actually haute.
Haute.
Hey, Angelia, Hain, Ake Kamen, Altu, Kai, Anangelamen, Umin, Hati, Hatheas, Phos, Estin, Kai, Scatia, en alto, uk estin, udemia, ean, apomen, hati, koinonian, echamen, met autu, kai, en to, scate, peripatomen, pseudamethe, kai u poiumen, tain elethean, eon de in to photi, peripatomen, hos altas, estin in to photi, koinonian, echamen, met alelon, kai ta Kaima, Yesu, Tu, Wiu, Tu, Catharidze, Hamas, Epa, Pases, Hamartios, hard to see it reading like, Eon, Apomen, Hati, Hamartion, Uk, Echamen, Healtus, Planomen, Kai, He, Aletheia, Uk, Esten, and Eon, Alomen, Pas, Hartias, Amon, Pistos, Esin, Kai, Dias, Hina, Afe, Haman, Tas, Amartias, Kai, Katharis, where are you? Right here?
No,
Right here?
Yeah.
Okay?
Hamas,
Abo, Pases, Adesias, Aeon, Apomen, Hati, Uk, Hemarte, Amen, Sustain, Poimen. Oh. You're running 10 miles. Kai, Alagas, Autu, Uk, Estin, and Amen. Wow, that's good. Okay. A little touch of Greek here. Now let's now translate. Starting at the top, Kaiasin, Haute, He, Angelia, Hain, Eke Kaamen, Autu, Kai, and Angelaman, Humin. And this is the message which we have heard from him and we are proclaiming to you. And this, and I'll show you how it goes. What? Follow me. Follow the bouncing laser. And this is the message which we have heard from him and we are proclaiming to you. What is the message now? That God is light and there is in him no darkness at all. Actually, it's a double negative.
Yeah.
This is
Not no negative.
there is not never. See, it's a double negative. Not never darkness in him. If we say that we are having fellowship with him and walking in the darkness, we are lying and doing not or not doing the truth. And if we are walking in the light, as he is in the light, we are having fellowship with one another, and the blood of Jesus, his Son, cleanses us from every sin. If we should say that we are not having sin, we deceive ourselves and the truth is not in us. If we confess our sins, he is faithful and just, that he will forgive to us the sins and cleanse us from every unrighteousness. If we, we say that we have not sinned, we make a liar of him, and his word is not in us. You'll be translating all this down the way on your own. But that's how it works. Let's look at characteristics of Greek nouns. Let's see, what time is it? About 5 till 8? Just in a few minutes I'll give you a short break, okay? Derek, good night. All right, let's talk about characteristics of Greek nouns. There are, according to which grammar you use, there are 5 or 8 cases in Greek. Most grammars today use a 5-case system and have other functions within the cases. It used to be with A.T. Robertson, Dana and Manty, Hershey Davis, and some others. They had an 8-case system. And I've given you both in case you've been exposed to it. The nominative case, the genitive case, which also some would define as a genitive and an ablative, same form, different meaning. Dative case, which also has a locative instrumental meaning, which some people used to say is a dative, locative, instrumental. Accusative and vocative. So everybody recognizes the nominative, genitive, dative, accusative, and vocative. Some have the other. Are you familiar with this at all? I don't know if any of you have heard these options.
Not the locative instrumental.
Yeah, those are 8 or 5 according to how you do it.
And we're using the 5. Right?
We're using the 5-case system. That's what your book has, and that's what most grammars do today.
I think Mounts have it.
There's a big debate whether case is a matter of form or function. And actually, I think there are 5-case forms with 8-case functions. And, you can argue both ways. Gender, masculine, feminine, neuter. 2 numbers. Hebrew, how many numbers are there?
At least 3.
3. Yeah. Singular, plural, and dual. Yeah, for 2. And they oftentimes in Hebrew, 2 eyes, 2 ears, 2 tongues, no. That's only for politicians as well. All right. Now let's talk about the cases. The nominative case is the naming case. It's when you are trying to say something about what generally speaking is the noun. You're trying to name it, or what does he say here, to point out something. Generally speaking, the nominative case then is used as a subject of a finite verb. What's an infinite verb? Yeah, what they're talking here by finite verb is you're not using it with certain words that are, like, say, to be kind of verbs. R for predicate nominative. Predicate nominative, like the word was God. God is the predicate nominative. The word is a nominative subject. The word subject was verb God, predicate nominative. It completes the verb. Nominative case. All these vocabulary nouns are nominative case. You always learn your vocabulary in the nominative and the genitive. All right, good. The genitive case is the case of description or possession. The Son of God, which means God's Son. The love of God. God's love. Or possibly the love of God. Love for God. So, but nonetheless, the genitive case expresses the idea of description or possession. His hand, hand in Greek is the word cher. Heker altu, his hand.
So you're saying that it would be fair to translate it with or without the article?
Well, you'll find, yes, sometimes it makes sense in English to put an article, sometimes it doesn't. And in the genitive case, you also have what is known as an ablative kind of function that is from. The word from God, so to speak, could be also expressed in the genitive. Not only the word of God, but the word from God, that which comes from God. Dative case, personal interest or relationship. You'll find the dative case in the case of the indirect object. I gave the ball to the man. To the man states the indirect object. I gave the ball as a direct object. I, subject, gave verb, the ball, what I gave, to the man, indirect object. And so we use indirect objects as dative case, also stating personal interest or relationship. Also the dative, though, is used, for example, I baptized you in water or with water. Is water the element in which you're put, that is the location, or is it the instrument by which you're baptized? I baptize you with water or in water. That's the debate. I think we can figure it out, and I won't go into that now. But nonetheless, the dative case. Accusative case, limitation, becomes the end. In other words, I hit the ball. It becomes the object of the verb. Limitation or qualification, direct object, transitive verb. And last of all, not used very much, still there, but not used very much. Vocative case, noun address. Lord, to whom shall we go? Lord, noun address. My Lord and my God, noun address. You use it a few times, not a lot, but it's still a case in Greek. So, whoa. I think this is in your book, page 13.
I just like the way you summarize it.
All right. I love this little PowerPoint set. It's great. I can hardly wait now to put my notes in here, and you can actually put this up and use it when you're speaking. Because I'm always looking behind me, you know. But, it's good.
Make you think, Ashton.
Yeah, it makes you think that you know something. Yeah, it's great. Another tool to fake people out. All right, you finished? Now, you have three primarily cases in English: subjective case, possessive case, objective case. In English we have something similar, but Greek obviously has more. Right? Subjective case, subject of the verb. Possessive case shows possession. Objective case affected by the action of the verb. We tend to operate in English with those, more in Greek. Now we come to nouns. Now, what I'm giving you here is actually going to serve for lesson 3, lesson 4, and I believe lesson 5. Yes, three lessons here. And what I'm going to give you the next little bit here. You'll notice here in the overhead, or the projector here, logos. Notice the sigma is your ending. The omicron is your. Remember what I said it was in the verb? Connecting vowel. Yes, connecting vowel. So what's a stem then? Log is a stem. Omicron is your connecting vowel, and sigma is your ending. Make sense? Logos. Notice here, feminine. Graphe, hora. And your neuter, ergon. Omicron here is your connecting, noon is the ending. Here the ending is in fact the vowel itself. There is no ending to it. Look at the accusative case. Logon, again, omicron nu. Graphane, eta nu. Hora, alpha nu. The accusative could be an alpha nu or an eta nu. Notice the nu is the ending, and it's an alpha eta pattern. This is an omicron epsilon pattern, eta pattern, eta epsilon. So you have these various vowel connectings. First and second declension. First declension nouns tend to be the feminine declension, but not entirely. And the first declension and the second declension noun tends to be your masculine, but not entirely. All right, you got it?
Is this in the book somewhere?
Yeah.
That will help, I think.
Well, we're going to look on page 14 and look at all this. Try to put it together for you. All I'm showing you here is the endings. We're going to see the endings. This is just the nominative endings. And those are the accusative. You also have the genitive and the dative. Now you may say, what about the vocative? We do have the vocative, but we're not going to spend any time on the vocative. It rarely occurs, and it's essentially the same as the nominative. Not entirely, but essentially. And just don't occur enough to make it worth it to spend time on it. Okay, logos, graphe, ergon, hora. Those are all nominative forms of the masculine, feminine, neuter, two variations of the feminine. Masculine, feminine, neuter, and the accusative, again, variations of the feminine. Here are the nominative plural nouns. Notice these. You have the amerhen iota, alpha iota, amerhen iota, alpha iota, and alpha. I can see that yellow doesn't show up well. I mean, I know that. I apologize. But anyway, that's what it is. It's an amerhen iota, alpha iota at the bottom, a horai, and ergon. So the alpha by itself is a neuter plural, neuter plural nominative, whereas the alpha iota and the alpha iota here are the, in fact, nominative plural in the feminine. So, just be an O, just be an A. Now, accusative plural, us, as, a. Notice that the nominative neuter plural and the accusative neuter plural, the exact same form. We're going to look at this on page 14 now. And we'll do more about that in a second. Okay? Now, look at page 14 with me. You may want to take with a pencil or something, or maybe with a red pen, or however you want to do it. But notice the form. He calls what he calls a pure alpha, a pure eta, in a mixed form. Okay, I was talking to you about this earlier. Notice the pure alpha form hits alpha throughout. What is the root of hora? Or the stem? Hor. That's the stem. Hor. Now alpha, alpha sigma, alpha nu, alpha that is the ending. Now, for our purposes, even though we know that the real ending of the genitive is a sigma, and the real ending is accusative is a nu, and you don't know why the alpha has that little thing under it, that's because something happened in the formation of the word that the sound shrunk. So let's call it iota. It's called an alpha iota. That's what you call it. What is that? That's an alpha iota. It's not I, it's not pronounced I, it's alpha, I. But it's iota, alpha iota, subscript. And that's what you use the term. So if I were reading this, I'd say that's omega, rho, alpha iota subscript. You with me? That's how you'd say it. Alpha iota subscript. But notice, if you consider that the connecting vowel and the ending now has become one sound for us, we just call that the ending for our purposes. I mean, it's easier. But just as you're learning the language, just call it this. I'm going to say it this way. Give me the pure alpha of the first declension, feminine. What is it? A, as, a, an. Plural. I, on, is, us. Right? See it?
So the
Right next to it.
pure alpha, is that feminine then?
What?
Would pure alpha be feminine?
That's a feminine. If you look this up in the dictionary, and does he have it here? Yes, he does. Look it up in your vocabulary, page 12, top. Hora, hey, that tells you that's a feminine. Now,
Okay.
the article will tell you what gender it is. If you have a hey, it's a feminine. If it's a ha, it's a masculine. If it's a Ta, it's a neuter. So when you look into vocabulary, the vocabulary, whether it has a eta, or a, well, whether it has a hey, or a ha, or a ta, tells you whether it's masculine, feminine, or neuter. So hara occurs with a hey, which means it's a feminine. Notice it's two forms, a nominative and genitive form. Hora, horas, hora, horan, hora, plural. Horai, horon, horais, horas, horai. See that? And that's how you learn this stuff. Give me the forms. As, an. Don't worry about the vocative. I, on, ice, as. Okay? Now, generally speaking, if you want to use a vocative, then it's generally speaking the same as a nominative. There is an exception to that. And the second is mentioned masculine. As, on, If you want to do it that way, I, on, ice, as, I. The point of it is that I in the vocative will be the same as a nominative. Okay? But that's a feminine, pure alpha. Why do you think they call it a pure alpha?
It doesn't change to an eta.
Has the alpha all the way through, right? Now I agree it adds a iota to it here and it adds something, you know, the iota subscript. But it's an alpha formation. Let's look at a pure eta. Phone, feminine. How do I know that? Phone, phones, hey, voice. So what is the ending? A, ace, a, ain. But look. I own, ice, us. You notice the similarity in the plural here? Same as the pure alpha, isn't it? Thank God for consistency in language study. Look at the mixed. Here you start with an alpha, but then you go to an eta. Remember that? Alpha, eta, sigma. A, ace. So it goes a, ace, a, on. Oh my goodness, jump back to an alpha, didn't it? A in the vocative. Then I own, ice, os, I. But that's consistent, is it not?
Yes,
The plural stays the same. That's great. Questions on that? Okay. Let's go to the definite article. Say a few things about it. This right here, by the way, just gives you the endings. As, u, o, an. You saw second. You haven't come across second declension yet. That's later. Here's your feminine, though. Your alpha and your eta form. R, a, as or ace, a, eta subscript, on or ain, right? Those are the forms you have. An, u, o, an in the neuter. Notice the neuter is very much like the masculine in the genitive and the dative, but unlike it in the nominative and the accusative. I take it, no, actually here it's like it in the accusative singular, but in the accusative plural like that. Let's look at the plural. Oi, on, ois, us. Look at the neuter. A, different. On, ois, same. On, different. That's wrong. That's wrong. I don't know who wrote this. That should be an alpha. Now that I look at it.
What should be now?
It should be a, on, ois, a. Yeah. But not us, but a. Even Greek teachers typing these things out in the middle of the night try to make mistakes again. I own, ice, as, very consistent. Now, these are the definite articles. Now, let me tell you something really good. Definite articles, you learn them, they're all there is. If you know these, that's 12, right? 3 times. 12 and 12 is 24. Once you know these 24 forms, you know them forever. They never change. Never, ever.
If you don't practice, you forget them.
Well, you know, think about the masculine. Ha, to, to,
Tone.
ton, and then hoi, tone, tois, tus. Is a plural. Hoi, tone, tois, tus. Never changes. But if you see this before a word, you know what the word is. It agrees in case, gender, number with whatever word it goes with, which helps sometimes. When you can't figure out what the stupid word is, you see the article, you think, I know what it is. Okay, hey, taste, tay, tain, high tone, tais, tas. And then the neuter, ta, tu, to, ta, same as it. Notice in the gender the same, and the dative the same. And the plural, tone, toy, same as the masculine, but in the plural, nominative and accusative, they're the same, but different from the masculine. Definite article will not, but he only really tackles definite article in a subsequent chapter, so we'll not pursue that now. I'm just telling you that is the form, and we'll do that. Now, we're going to take a short break. When we come back, we're going to work on the exercises, 21. We'll work through these, and then we're going to start lesson 4. Now, we're not going to get as far tonight as I would desire to get, but we're getting up again, so we're getting it going, which means I want to cover at least two lessons tonight. And if we do that, we'll be in good shape. So, but getting you going again will take a little time to do.